Hey guys, welcome and welcome back to my channel, The Sugar Sean. I'm back for another video. In this video, I'm going to be reviewing HBO's show Insecure. This is season 5, episode 4, Faulty, okay? If you guys enjoy videos like this one, be sure to thumbs up, be sure to subscribe. And if you missed my last review, I'll be sure to float it on the screen right now so you guys can check that out first and then come back here. But without any further ado, let's jump into the review. So this week's episode starts off at the beach, and the Clips, which is Nathan's barbershop, is having a big like beach get together, beach gathering, and it's the whole crew from the barbershop. That's Nathan, Nathan's co-owner, and a couple of their friends. They're having a good time. They're waiting for the food to arrive, and it's a beautiful day and a really good turnout for their event. So when I say that the whole crew turns out, I also mean their curvy and busty co-worker. I think her name is Nisha, who reminds me for some reason of a young Kyla Pratt. Am I tripping or is it just me? But anyway, so she shows up, and of course the whole crew is there. Issa shows up with Molly and Kelly, and everybody's having a good time. Everybody's spirits are really high. Molly says that she's gotten back out into the dating world, and as Kelly says, she caught a bee on Bumble. So, Molly is full force out here in the dating world, and I don't know if she's back to her old tricks. We'll talk about that a little bit later if Molly actually showed some growth in this episode. So Molly also says that, she ended up having sex with the guy that she met on Bumble, but she says she's really out of practice, and she's looking like she on the prowl. Okay, she's looking like she on the prowl, and she's looking like she's anybody can get it. Molly is talking about, there's so much meat, the men out here are in bulk like it's a Costco out here. So Molly Molly is on a mission on this particular episode. So Issa tells everybody that she's a little bit nervous about talking to Nathan because, the last time was really awkward. She did cry in this man's mouth. But, Kelly lets her know, didn't he just walk out on you? And, Issa was like, he's busy. I've been busy. We just haven't really talked since the incident. So while Issa is talking to the girls, she ends up getting a notification on her phone. And Crenshaw is out here talking slick or insinuating or subtweeting or whatever, that Issa just signed this big deal with Nothing But Water. That's the same company that worked with her last week to produce Crenshaw's whole fashion show. I remember right before the fashion show, Crenshaw kind of insinuated that Issa was a sellout for working with this big company, yet he's selling out his event because of Issa and this big company. So Issa and her girls go over to Nathan and his boys, and Issa and Nathan are trying to talk, but Issa is mad awkward. Like, Issa's already an awkward black girl, thus the name of her YouTube series, but she gets especially awkward when she's nervous or, slightly uncomfortable. Nathan normally matches Issa's awkward energy, and they're kind of goofy and silly together, but he wasn't really having it. He was giving her this, a very dry hello. So Molly locks eyes with Nathan's coworker and friend who comes over to the group, chest all out, and Molly likes what she sees because, like I said, she's on the prowl. So Nathan pretty much walks away, leaving Issa standing there awkwardly. And so, like I said, it's very uncomfortable and it's kind of tense between the two of them. So Issa goes over to Kelly and Molly and lets them know, like, I know he's mad at me because of the way that we left things. And Kelly is basically like, I really don't have a baseline for him. I don't know if what we saw was awkwardness or how he normally is. And Kelly is just basically telling her, just give it some time. So while they're talking, they're interrupted by Nathan's two homeboys who are inviting them to a spades game. Issa lets it slip that she doesn't know how to play spades. Who is a grown person at this big age that doesn't know how to play spades? So while Issa is watching, she catches Nathan and his coworker Nisha looking mighty friendly. So Nisha's got her hand all on him. She's got her foot on his leg while he's like putting her shoe on or taking her shoe off. It doesn't matter. All I know is that she looks like she is in ecstasy, and Issa's imagination is running wild. She is clearly jealous, which is an emotion I didn't expect to see from Issa. I thought that they were supposed to be quote unquote just friends, but Issa is jealous. So she gets tired of watching these two, so she gets up to get herself something to drink, and it's actually Resha, spots her off in the distance and comes over to say hi. And Issa is jealous of her, and Nathan is looking. I mean, she's got her body on show, and they're both just kind of looking. And Issa talks to him, and she's like, "Are we okay?" And he's like, he literally says to her, "Nothing's changed for me." And she says, "So we're still friends?" And that's when his demeanor kind of goes down again because Issa has been confusing this man and trying to put him in a friend zone, then asking him to be in her bed, then kissing him. Issa's been confusing to Nathan, but Nathan, yes, he ghosted her in the very beginning when they first met, but since then he's been consistent with how he feels about Issa. And Issa's always, as usual, all over the place. So while they're talking, the food shows up. So Nathan goes to check on it. And while they're all over there, there is a minor earthquake. And everybody is a little bit shook, but thankfully there's no real damage. But they do announce over the loudspeaker that they have to split up the party because of a threat of a tsunami. So everybody has to leave. But Nathan scrambles on his feet and he's like, you know what? Everybody meet us at a local bar for drinks. So they're all moving the party to a local bar. So Nathan's in the car with his homeboys. And, his homeboy in the back, who's been really feeling Molly, was like, wouldn't it be cool if I start dating your girl's girl? And Nathan's like, she's not my girl. She's all over the place. He also tells them about how Issa invited him over. They were in bed together. They're kissing and all that. And then Issa starts crying in his mouth. And the friend was like, did somebody die? He's like, I don't know. He's like, we've been friends for a year because that's what she wanted. And then she calls me over, invites me over, kisses me, has me in her bed. And then it's just awkward. And he's basically tired of Issa not being sure and being hot and cold with him. And they're basically talking about how they're frustrated with women putting men on ice, putting them in the friend zone, and then thawing them out when they're bored or they are finally ready for a relationship and expecting them to be ready for whatever mood she's in on that particular day. And they think it's unfair. So Nathan's friend also says, they had to been a reason why she felt comfortable enough to be vulnerable enough to cry on you like that. And so Nathan's like, I don't know. I don't even care. Like, she don't know what she wants. Just when I think he might be decent, here he is laughing and cackling about how he can't wait to do this and that with Molly. So I'm like, you know what? But then he's on the same energy that Molly's on. So Issa, Molly, and Kelly are in a car with Resha and an associate driving them over to the bar Sharky's for the second half of this event. And he's a conspiracy theorist, tinfoil hat and everything. And Issa's rolling her eyes like, oh my goodness, why y'all got me sitting up front with this dude? So while they're driving along, Issa gets a notification on her phone. It is a tweet from Crenshaw that says, it's a fraud, y'all. Don't be fooled. All skin folk ain't kinfolk, talking about Issa. Issa is definitely upset because Crenshaw has been low-key coming at her neck all day with these little subliminal tweets here and there and these messages. And so she calls her assistant Koya, and Koya's like, what do you want me to do? And she's like, he's just jealous because, we got this big deal. Issa's now on salary with her profession, which I think is really good. I don't think that was really celebrated enough. Issa's actually getting paid to do what she loves now. It's not just a labor of love. So Kelly is really getting along with Risha in the back seat. Now that they're both on their spiritual journey of awakening, they have a lot in common and they're just chatty Cathy's in the back seat. And Issa and Molly are both, just sort of, there for the ride. They start texting each other back and forth. And Issa says, I don't really know what's going on with me and Nathan. She also says that he might be hooking up with Risha. That's when Molly turns to Risha and says, are you hooking up with Nathan? And she was like, no, I think about him as a brother. Why, do you want to get in on that? Because I can hook you up. And she was like, nah, that's good. See, that's what I like about Molly and Issa. Molly rides for Issa. When she's got your back, she's got your back. So she asked her point blank and, so Issa got the answer that she needed immediately. So everybody ends up at the bar, and there are two guys, both of Nathan's friends, both fighting for a chance to be with Molly. And it's obvious she's loving the attention. It looks like for the first time, Molly's actually having fun with dating. She's not putting any pressure on anybody to be quote unquote the one, flirting, all that kind of stuff. And everybody's just looking because they are very obvious that they're competing for Molly. So anyway, Nathan shows up with a drink for Issa, and Issa says, You read my mind. And he said, I be trying. That's like a little bit of foreshadowing to what's going on with the two of them. He is tired of trying to read your mind, Miss Thing. But Issa finally gets it off her chest and she asks Nathan, why did you leave? And he tries to make a joke at first, but then she's like, I really expected you to be there when I woke up. And he was like, I didn't know we had expectations for each other. And he was like, it's my fault. I shouldn't have kissed you. And she was like, no, it's my fault. I shouldn't have asked you to spend the night. They don't really have very many boundaries, so it's very easy for them to cross them, and that's what happened. At least that's what they're telling each other. This is what happens when you place expectations on relationships that haven't been defined. You can't expect boyfriend treatment if you're not somebody's boyfriend, and you can't expect girlfriend treatment if you're not somebody's girlfriend. Issa knows that she could have called Molly if she needed a shoulder to cry on. Why call the man who has been wanting you and who you let put in the friend zone for a year? Issa knew what she was doing. So this episode should have been called Pardon the Interruption because they get interrupted for I think the third time this episode, but this time it's by Nathan's cousin and his wife. So they come over, Nathan's very happy to see them, and Issa's surprised because she says, how did I not know that you had family here that lived, close by? Because Nathan always made it seem like he was a transplant, completely here all by himself with no family. And there's a weird energy between Nathan and his cousin's wife, and I couldn't put my finger on it. I didn't know if something happened between the two of them, but it it was awkward and you could tell right away. So they grab a table and everybody's laughing and talking. Molly's flirting back and forth with the guys, and Nathan and his cousin are telling stories about like their past and their childhood. And they're talking about how one time Nathan thought he was going to be the manager of a band, and he just up and left his cousin who had to hitchhike home. So the wife chimes in and was like, "That sounds like Nathan, always abandoning people." And his friends start laughing and joking about it, and you could tell like Nathan feels some kind of way because the entire table is like laughing at him. And Issa chimes in and she's like, "You know what? Nathan is actually very steady and he's very dependable. He helped me to encourage me to place roots here and to be more stable." And, basically she felt that, everybody was kind of dissing him. And so she chimed in for her possible man. We're about to find out. Okay. So Risha and Kelly are in the background. They're crying, having a come to Jesus moment, and they're having a breakthrough, as Risha claims. They are definitely in sync. You could even tell by what they're wearing. They're wearing the same color. Insecure does a lot with color theory. The fact that they're wearing the same shade shows you that they're in sync. But they decide to stay back while the other people go to a party that's supposed to be held by Jason Derulo. So that's where the next scene actually takes place. They're on their way to the party, and Nathan and his cousin are still reminiscing about the old days. And Issa gets a tweet from Crenshaw saying it's a mistake to work with fake people. Hashtag facts. And you can see Koya is back and forth with Crenshaw because he's, saying a lot of really disparaging things, online, and people are replying back and forth to them. And Issa's basically like, "Why you being weird to me?" She says, "You're doing the most. This is a weird way of saying thank you for all the exposure I got you." I believe Issa sent him this in a private message. Now, this isn't just a squabble between two people who have a disagreement. Issa is now a brand and now trying to present herself to be professional. She can't be getting back and forth in some Twitter beef. Unfortunately, Issa did not send this as a private message. She actually posted it to her Twitter. So it's public. And so she didn't know that. But Koya texted her and was like, "Girl, it's going to be fine. The internet has a short attention span. It's going to die down. Don't worry." So they get to the party, and Nathan's friend is trying to get them in, but he's only allowed to add 1+1. And so everybody is waiting to get chosen. And he's like, "You know what? Me and Molly are going to get in." So Molly looks at Issa. She's like, "Girl, don't worry. I'm going to try to find a door to sneak you in. No problem. Just give me some time and I'm going to find a way to get everybody in." So she's like, "Just text me." So after a while, Issa ends up getting a text from Molly. Molly did find a door to sneak everybody in. So she tells the group and everybody starts walking towards the back door. But then Nathan notices that his cousin starts walking away from the group and he's like, "What's going on?" He's like, "Well, my lift will be here any minute and I'm about to get in and go home." And he was like, "What's going on?" He was like, "Does your wife not want us hanging out?" And like, "I know she don't really mess with me like that." And he's like, "No, that's not really actually it." He's like, "Do you think I'm going to abandon you?" And he's again, and his cousin's like, "No, that's not really it. And I got to come clean with you. I have to let you know that when we kicked you out a long time ago when you lived with us, it actually wasn't my wife's idea. It was mine." He was like, "You would just disappear. You would go missing for days. You would, leave my door unlocked and stuff. I had kids, and basically your erratic behavior really scared like me and my kids and my family. Like it was actually my decision. But we thought that you would take it better if you thought it was my wife. Like my wife didn't have a problem with you. It was actually me." So Nathan is clearly hurt. I think Kendrick Sampson did a really good job portraying this scene. Like he did a great job, but he's like, "That's not even me anymore." And the guy's like, "Oh, okay." But this whole night didn't go as planned. So I don't know if he really believes Nathan or not because, he's older, more settled, and Nathan still looks flaky, even though none of this was any fault of his own. So Nathan is very upset by this, and Issa comes over and she's like, we're getting in the back door. What's going on? Your cousin's leaving?" And Nathan's like, "Yeah." And then he's like, "You know what? I need to be by myself for just a minute." So he goes to walk off. And I was hoping that Issa would follow him. I'm like, don't do him like how he did you. He clearly needs an emotional support right now. Don't leave. And he's there looking out over the beautiful scenic view of LA, and Issa pops up next to him and is like, "What's going on?" And he tells her that he was manic when he was living with his cousin and his wife, and he was like, they don't know, so they think he's just a flake, didn't realize that there was a mental illness issue that was attached to it, that he wasn't just being unpredictable, or that basically he didn't have necessarily control over what was going on at that point because he was undiagnosed. He really wanted his cousin and his wife to see him now. The owner of the shop with his life together. And this whole thing was about showing them that he's not the man that he was when he was with them. But it didn't work out. He still looked flaky because everything fell apart that day. And he's like, you know what? You can't change how people see you. And Issa's like, I hear that. And he's like, and I can't even change how you see me. And Issa's like, wait, what? And then she says, me crying the other day had nothing to do with you. This was all about me being afraid to let my guard down because I'm always afraid that the other shoe is going to drop. Like basically like how it went with Lawrence. She thought she was going to get her happily ever after and the bottom fell out. Condola's pregnant. Coca-Cola's having Lawrence's baby. She tells Nathan, I'm just afraid to get my hopes up again. But if I'm being honest, I don't want to just have you as a friend anymore. And Nathan's like, well, I don't just want to have you as a friend anymore either. And girl, they kiss. And I'm like, ooh. You know what? They kiss. It's a beautiful kiss. But what's even more beautiful is when they kiss, girl, the earth moves. It is an earth moving kiss. And even though it was cute with her and Lawrence and the whole moon thing that they had, a man who makes the earth move with a kiss from you, like, ooh, I like that. And so am I team Nathan again? Maybe, because I like the vulnerability that Nathan can have with Issa and her being vulnerable back. I just like that. The main issue between Lawrence and Issa is that they never really could communicate. These two can communicate. It might take them a minute, but they can do that. And he's able to tell her things that he can't even tell her friends. When you get a man to open up, that's how you know you got him. They both believe in each other's dreams. It was Nathan who pushed Issa to even start her company and brand. And it was Issa who encouraged Nathan to be a part of this barbershop. Like they push each other and pull each other in a good way, in a positive way. They make each other's life better. And I like that. Now, Lawrence is doing better financially, but his life is in shambles. Lawrence reintroducing himself into Issa's life, he has quite a bit of baggage. So now he's coming into her life with Condola and Elijah. And it's like, I just want Issa to have an uncomplicated love story. I feel like she deserves that after 5 seasons. And actually, so do we as the fans of the show. So if that means Nathan, then I'll take it. He does not feel like settling to me. So y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. Do you think that being with Nathan is settling for Issa, or you still think that she should be with Lawrence, knowing that Lawrence will be coming in, with a baby mama and a child now? And also, what do you think about Molly this episode? Now, she looks like she was having a good time, but is Molly making a mistake leading with sex? Molly didn't want anything. She wasn't trying to get to know these men on any kind of level or anything like that. Isn't this the same pattern that she's exhibited before where she's leading with sex but thinks she wants a relationship that's based on something deeper, something more substantial? I am grateful that she doesn't seem to be going into every relationship or thinking that every man that she meets is supposed to be the one. So I do like that she's taken the pressure off. But I don't know, I just wish there was more of an in-between. Not too much pressure, but still expecting something if you expecting something. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you guys get what I'm saying. But anyway, let me know your thoughts and opinions on this week's episode. If you missed the last episode, I'll be sure to link it right now here on the screen. And while you're at it, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on that post notification so you'll never miss a video from your girl. Shout out to me for being early with this week's review. Let me get a thumbs up for that, girl. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. Till next time, later divas and dudes. Deuces, honey.